Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the 1K World Cup. We are now officially done with the round of 16 matches, and the only thing left to do this weekend is show the remaining teams what they're going to be going up against in the quarterfinals. Welcome to the Quarterfinals Showcase. As always, my name is Sparky, and I am joined in the commentary booth by none other than Era Sunny. Sunny, how you doing?
Hello, Sparky. Things are going great. We've just finished off the final two matches of the round of 16. The only thing that's left is to show that wonderful, wonderful wheel of misfortune to all of the players to see what they're going to go after in the quarterfinals matches that will be happening next week. And if I recall correctly, the map pool format will stay the exact same. We'll be having 4 rice picks, 2 LNs, 3 hybrids, your speed and SV pick, and then that tiebreaker. I don't think anything has changed from the last 2 rounds, as far as I know.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware as well. I believe we're still staying in a best of 9 format, subject to correction. Our wonderful streamer has it down pat, so we'll adjust on the fly if there is going to best of 11, and we'll let you guys know. But with that being said, misfortune is correct. These maps are going to get harder, and oh boy, the wheel has some very interesting maps already. I see End Time, I see Angel Dust.
Yeah, oh my goodness, End Time? Wasn't that like... I'm pretty sure that was used in Joke 3 quarterfinals, so...
Yes.
This is where things get kicked up a couple notches or two. And...
my eyes
we're
are
not going to be seeing... We're seeing Angel Dust!
Alrighty, so... Angel Dust going to be our first rice pick in this pool. So already a very stream-oriented pick to start things off here. I do believe that was in Joke 3 as well.
Yeah, this was Joke 3 round of 16. You are correct.
Yeah, not the highest of BPMs, but like I said, those streams gonna take it out of a lot of players. And we dodge a bullet. It is gonna be Masamune for Rice 2 here. And I believe this was used in Joke 2, if I recall correctly. Very very awkward style of pick, a little bit more technical oriented. The introduction to this chart is a nightmare to play if you don't have your timing down pat, but we can continue on. There's, I believe, 2 more left to decide on here, and it's gonna be Dopamine. Dopamine will be your Rice 3 pick. I believe that is Joke 1 round of 16, and thankfully it is not OD10, it's OD 9.5. Oh, lovely. As if though having more you might as well just play it on hard rock. Just make it OD10. When you're practicing, just put on hard rock. It'll make it feel so much easier when you get into the match.
And then there were 4.
And then there were 4. And I don't know about you, Sonny. I mean, we're both players in this tournament. I do not want to see this upcoming map. We are going into Ghost. The one map I did not want to see rolled in this wheel. This is the epitome of timing hell if I've ever seen one.
When you say timing hell, that could not be good.
It is, if I remember correctly, this was used in Joke 3. And
this is, Joke 3 quarterfinals.
This is a very goofy map. It is very freeform, almost akin to a live map type of feel. The snaps are so varied in terms of distance from each other. They are not straightforward 1-4 streams. You are playing like 1-7, 1-5 streams for very long durations. And
so it's like Wrinkle as a rice map, pretty much.
Worse than Wrinkle. If you thought Wrinkle was hard with its 1/5, that's gonna be really bad. But that will do it for the rice pool.
Yeah, and oh man, we are I see. I see a certain beat map on here that is very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I do recognize some of these maps. Hot Chocolate, Move That Body, and 8-Bit Fairy Tale. I do all remember, but these will be our options for the long note picks. We're only going to be spinning this wheel twice, and here we go. It's gonna be Move That Body.
Alrighty, so Move That Body going to be our LN1 pick for the quarterfinals. I think this is the only map I'm not familiar with. I think this was in Joke 1.
Yeah, Joke 1.
Yeah, I think this is the only map that was in Joke 1. Everything else in 2 and beyond. But that will be LN1. We'll talk about it more once we get into the actual map showcase. And we can spin again for our last LN pick.
And it's gonna be Hot Chocolate, it looks like. And
we get to use the special skin. Let's go! Hot Chocolate is gonna be LN2 in this pool. It is...
Wait, special skin?
There is such a funny skin for this map that was used during the tournament when it was played.
Really?
Not that much different. We there's a couple of alterations, but we'll get there when we get there. That will do it for the LN pool for this round. We can move on to the hybrids, 3 of which are going to be chosen here.
Oh man, energy inflation, high priest test, and quality control are just some of the maps on here. Those are the ones I recognize off of this these 7 hybrid picks. We are going to pick 3 of them. And without further ado,
yeah, this is
your turn.
This has the potential to be a very high difficulty spike compared to last round. We're going to start it off with quality control, probably the most tame of some of the options in this pool. Still very difficult, some really high octane bursts to be found, but not in quick succession. They're pretty telegraphed as the map goes along, but again, we'll describe it more once we get into the actual map showcase. We can roll for Hybrid 2 here.
Yeah, that is another Joke 3 map. Joke 3 quarterfinals. And we're going to see energy inflation. It was very close. And we're going to see energy inflation, which is Joke 2.
Yeah, even though I played in Joke 2, I do not actually remember this map. I think there's something about it that it just locked away in my memory banks. But again, we'll describe it more once we get into the map showcase. And we got one more hybrid to deal with here, and there are some pretty heavy hitters left, and it's going to be the heaviest of them all. Step by step is going to be Hybrid 3. This is without a doubt probably the hardest hybrid in this pool if I were to put a ranking of difficulty. It is so absurd with some of its bursts that getting a clean full combo on this is going to be ridiculously hard. Not impossible, but...
So what you're saying is that this is Fragment's Arc on steroids, pretty much?
It's Fragment's Arc if you added streams and other nonsense in it. Actually, if you thought Fragment's Arc was easy, this might be the pick for you. You just add a couple layers to it, but we'll save that more once we actually see the map itself.
And here we go. Everyone's favorite, the speed picks.
Alrighty, let's see what the speed pick for this round is going to be.
And it's going to be busy come, busy ... I believe that's busy come, busy go. This is Joke 2 semifinals. Oh my goodness, we just kind of kicked things up a notch. I just looked this up. This is from semifinals of Joke 2.
Yeah, this is another really hard map. Maybe a little bit more bearable than Light Fly is.
Yeah, that was... Was there ever a match where that map was not banned? I would have to do my research on that one, but I'm pretty sure nearly every single match Light Lies got banned.
Yeah, there were a lot of qualms with that map in particular, but this one should be a lot more approachable for teams that are wanting to get into a speed pick. And now we go into the SV, and there are some really good SV choices for this one. There are two in particular that I'm looking at, but knowing my luck, we're not going to get them.
Please tell me the maps are over a minute.
Yes, they are.
And it looks like we're going to see the Mania World Cup 2021 SV map. I remember this was, or the same song was used at least, Radiance. If I'm correct on that one. This is Joke 2.
Yep, and we managed to avoid the SVs that I wanted. Cruelly. We rolled the one I don't know.
Curse you, Wheel!
I digress. Drop the Rave and Anthem are really good SVs. But Radiant is also really nice as well. A Joke 2 classic. And with that being said, all that's left is the tiebreaker for the round.
And it's a complete whiteout. Oh my goodness. I just got flashbanged by the wheel.
Yep. But let's see what the tiebreaker for the quarterfinals is going to be.
And it will be AIWV.
I remember there was a way to pronounce this, but I forgot. I'd have to dig to the staff chat to see what the pronunciation was.
And this is Joke 3.
Yeah, Joke 3. And
so we're seeing lots of Joke 3 maps this round. This is mapped by Sparks, so and pretty short in tiebreaker, 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's one of the shorter tiebreakers that were in that tournament, but might bode well for teams that might have to go into it. We haven't seen a tiebreaker just yet, but as we start to close ranks in terms of seedings, we do get the potential for it. But with that being said, we now have the official quarterfinals map pool. The wheel has said so. Whether you like it or not, you're going to have to play some of these maps. And for now, go ahead.
Just to let you know, half of this map pool is Joke 3.
Okay, so we're just reprising Joke 3 quarter semis.
So basically, if you made it to Joke 3 quarters plus, you will recognize pretty much almost every single one of these maps, or at least half of them.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, that probably bodes well for the competitiveness of this round. There isn't a lot of like BS for lack of better term from some of the sillier iterations of Joke. So we can probably get Rice 1 loaded up here.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, this is Angel Dust, the 2016 mix, which is the more popular version. And this map pretty much, like you did mention, it's a bit more speedy based. There is some of these kind of gallops mixed in with these stream patterns that last for not in the longest, but then there's these ones here, and then oh my goodness, that burst, I believe that's 1/8. This is 170 BPM, by the way.
Yeah, you get those 340 BPM 1/8 bursts that honestly are pretty telegraphed in terms of where they're going to appear. But that being said, speeding up your hands to hit them is a completely different story. But as we mentioned, this is basically raw streams from start to finish. So if you are one of those teams that are more favorable towards 1/4 streams, this is probably going to be your best pick if you can withstand the 1/8. There aren't too many, like I mentioned.
Yeah, then just a little bit of those LNs to kind of just keep you on your toes, kind of just sprinkled throughout that map. And as we reach the halfway mark, a little bit of a break section, but still keeping you up with those doublets with the transition out into a little bit of those galloping sections. And then this is pretty much, if I'm going off of what Angel Dust sounds like, this is practically the calm before the storm, before we are kicking right back at the 170 BPM streams that just don't seem to end. And then to even make things better, you have to stop and stop between these streams to avoid note locking and overhitting, and then just those 1/8s in between to just add a couple more cherries on top. There is so much litter throughout this back half of the map. Like, you have to be extremely cautious.
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely some transitional moments in between some of those streams that can catch you off guard. Those 1/8s, of course, just kind of nestling in there to make sure you're not autopiloting, not checking out of the map itself. But honestly, this is probably going to be one of the more engaging maps. It'll be very interesting to see which teams decide to go into this as a choice during their match, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of players in this tournament that can sharpshoot a pretty good score on this.
Yeah, for sure. And moving on, we will be going underway with Masamune, which, like you did mention, this is Joke 2.
Yes, Joke 2 quarterfinals. That introduction is very hard to hit because it is basically a blind 1/4 stream that slows down. The snappings can be a little bit ambiguous at times if you are sight reading it. And then you get into what's essentially going to be the rest of the map is the short gallops with either 1/8, 1/6, or 1/4 bursts to contend with. And it's really transitioning in and out of some of those faster snaps back into the 1/4. That's going to be the real crux of this chart.
Yeah, and as we progress further, mainly, like you mentioned, just these gallops and these doublets that kind of just transition in and out of each other. And then some of these streams that, oh man, a 1/8 that gradually, I think that's 1/8, maybe 1/6 that gradually slows down, like you mentioned. Probably would trip some people up, maybe getting some rushes, kind of just hitting them all under that 1/6 range, but as it slows down, a little bit of a break section now into this halfway mark, with still keeping you in check with these very, very slow gallops.
Yeah, that interlude changes feels from 1/4 to kind of a 1/3, 1/6 type of feel. Be sure to respect the swing during that section, but you transition back into this more standard 1/4 gallop sort of feel. The 1/8 odd and even bursts as well, so got to make sure you end on the proper hand during some of those, because they are 5s, sometimes 4s, sometimes 3s. Once you read through them, it'll be a little bit easier to gauge, but outside of that, that's pretty much it. We get back into this sort of main motif of the short 1/4 bursts with the doublets in between, and some singles as well, just to kind of keep the pace going.
Yeah, and just like that, the map is slowing down just a little bit of just these notes, and there was a little bit of a fast doublet there, I believe 1/8, and just a little bit of a stream to just to make sure you're still alive. And I guarantee that if you go in on a sight read, you don't want to miss out on that final section. And we're moving right along with Dopamine.
Yeah, one of the few Joke 1 maps that made it into this pool. So Elevated OD is going to be the name of the game, 9.5, and you can already see it's a bit of a speedier pick, 200 BPM, just under 2 minutes. So might be a bit of a reprise to last round's Rice 1. A pretty easy to gauge 1/4 streams broken up.
Yeah, as we do progress further, mainly just kind of these streams that transition into those gallops, and just a little bit of a gallop section here before it transitions out into those doublets. Lots and lots of more or less the name of the game is just, not only is it OD 9.5, but mostly just how well can you hold on to these transitions. And those, I believe, were 1/4, if I'm correct. And now in with these stream sections that kind of can slip some people off into some more gallops now. This is basically just gallop mayhem at this point.
Yeah, I mean, again, the song does a pretty good job of telegraphing what is going to be happening at any given moment. These transitional bursts are pretty easy to latch onto. The real difficult point is going to be when the feel changes from that 1-4 to that 1-3, respecting those triplet patterns that can sometimes hit you a little bit abruptly. But I mean, again, you follow the main melody and you can kind of feel your way through it. This is probably one of the more sight read friendly ones if you weren't a gambling person. But again, with the elevated OD, it is so punishing to hesitate on any of these structures. So gonna be interesting to see how this one plays out for a lot of the teams.
Yeah, now on to Sparky's favorite.
Oh, this is an absurd map. That guitar that you're hearing is the main melody.
Oh, this is a CHON song.
Yes.
I'm familiar with their works, and oh man,
he's gonna fly off the handles here.
Yeah. Oh man.
Get into these hurdles that kind of trail off, and then you get into the drum fill. Again, very ambiguously snapped to the guitar. It is structured, it is timed. So this isn't live map. I said it live map feel. It's either very triplet based, can transition into some 1/4 patterns in between, but honestly, this is one of those 50-50 style of maps. You either nail entire sections or you're just fumbling entire passages. And it's not very long, it's only 1:30.
Yeah, I was about to say, that is pretty much the benefit of the doubt in this situation, that this map is one of our shorter picks, only 1:36. And also, another thing, with those longer stream sessions that seem to be like have these different timings, you could probably cheese your way to just hit him like the regular 1/4 at the risk of your ratio. Mm-hmm. But if you're one of those maniacs that can actually keep that under control, then props to you. This is OD7 though, so your odds of your accuracy are possibly tanking from that is pretty slim. Yeah. But it's still best that you try to actually play that normally and not just hit them like they're 1/4. But here we go, underway into our long note picks now. Jumping into Move That Body.
And of course, this being from Joke 1, you will have that elevated OD on an LN chart. So OD 8.5, if you struggle with releases, sorry. It is not going to get any easier.
Yeah, and I can tell by how, those gaps between those LNs are not, big at any of the slightest. They are really tiny. And just adding another slap to the face that this is OD, that this is OD, 8.5?
Yep.
You need to play your cards right on this map.
Yeah, some of these releases start to overlap just a tiny bit. It's just long enough to punish you for trying to play it through like Rice. That's one of the things that I always like to say when it comes to these LN charts, that you can kind of get away with just straight playing it like Rice, but some of these gaps are a little unfavorable for that style of play. The patterns themselves, not the most difficult to play through. I did see some 1/6 bursts during some of the heavier sections, but very 1-2, 1-4 based at the very least for teams that aren't that great at LN. It's still maybe the lesser of both evils for the LNs if you did have to go into it. And again, it's not very long by any stretch of the imagination as well. That's probably going to be a theme for a lot of this pool, as just like that, it is now over. That was LN1.
Yeah, on to our other long no pick where, like you mentioned, we have a special skin for it. It's hot chocolate.
Yeah, this is the best skin ever created to really get this song through. And this is the more technical of the two LNs. It has a lot more 1/4 streams in it. It does punish you with some extended releases as well. There are a couple of choke points in this chart. If I do recall, the drops do get a little bit heavy to read through. Some doublets, I believe, are going to be the name of the game. Yep, here they come.
Yeah, with these gallops as well, it's mainly doublets and gallops. And then to make things even better, there's those streams that transition in and out with some of these LN holds that last for like about 0.3 seconds pretty much. And it's practically just Rushmore, but more long notes and a lot more gallops and doublets.
It's Rushmore without the 1-6 bursts, honestly.
Yeah, pretty much. You just took out the 1-6 bursts and you get hot chocolate.
Ah, I remember why this song was so hard during Joke 3. You get a massive doublet section right after this. This is the hardest part of this song. All those doublets just keeping the feel in check. It is so easy to kind of crush some of those rhythms. And that is going to be the turning point, I feel, for a lot of matches where it is really close on this chart. Definitely want to give that a couple of look-throughs if you are practicing it.
And then we lied about the 1-6. They do show up here at the end, but they don't really seem to have that much than what Rushmore had, so you are spared. And we lied. There's another one. But anywho, more of just of these gallops are present. I would reckon it's just a smooth sail for the rest of this quarter, unless there's another doublet hell.
No, that doublet section is strictly in that middle portion. You do get one more doublet just to get you into this last chorus, but it's more of the same. It's kind of a reprise of the first time you went around it. Not a lot of tricks left up this map's sleeve when it comes to tricky patterning. It's just straight 1-4 from here on out. Just definitely got to respect some of those releases. Some of these streams do end on the opposite hand sometimes, so definitely got to make sure you count your beats before going into them. But yeah, that will do it for the LNs.
Yeah, very short and sweet, and we will be moving on to our hybrids, and it's going to be quality control. Another Joke 3 chart, mapped by Sparks. So, or at least it says in the map description that this was mapped by Sparks. And this looks fairly tame at the beginning with these streams just to keep you in check along with those doublets. Or, I mean, not doublets, gallops. And being at 175 BPM and only OD 5.5, I feel like with some of these players that we have in the tournament, basically the name of the game for like even with some of these matches, the thing that would matter the most on a map like this is like just your ratio overall, especially at such a low OD.
I was going to say it. This is probably going to be the easiest hybrid in this pool. There's some real doozies, but when you get into these drops, definitely watch out for these bursts, especially the longer ones. They can catch you off guard, but the transitions, again, pretty telegraphed as to when you're going to be going into those speedier sections. They're not as ambiguous as some other songs, but still definitely a bit of a pain point to play through. The first half kind of sets you up with that good ratio. It's just a matter of muscling your way through into the back half with either your accuracy intact, or at the very least, you could possibly combo game your way through this and squeak out a score that is pretty competitive, because honestly, FCs might be hard to come by. At least like a two-way FC for your team.
Yeah, I know there are some players that can just FC literally anything being thrown at them, but I tip my Burger King crown to anyone that actually gets a two-player FC on this, or a team FC.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Like I said, this is probably the easier of the three hybrids. As we move on to the second one, it is going to be energy inflation. Joke 2 being represented here from the quarterfinals.
And here we go with our second hybrid, which is going to be energy inflation. Getting some, like I said, Joke 2 representation. And this map is relatively short, but take a look at that BPM, 215. So you will be experiencing some very fast gallops and doublets as demonstrated here. And this is straight out of the first quarter of this map.
Yeah, if quality control was a bit of a speed check, this is more of your technique check. There's a lot of transitional moments found throughout this chart. And, I mean, give or take, whatever your skill set leans towards, you could argue that this is probably going to be easier to quality control. Some might find it a little bit harder because of the fact that, because it's not just littered with like 1/8 bursts, it brings players back into the fold that might not be able to handle 1/8s. So this one might be the one you might want to lean towards when trying to learn your way through the hybrid pool, because it's just more of the same. Just these 1/2 into 1/4 quick streams into gallops, and the LN's pretty negligible. Some of the holds do get a little bit elongated, but outside of that, pretty easy to navigate overall.
And yeah, only this final section with the gallops and some doublets to keep you in track as they transition in and out. That will pretty much spell out the rest of this map. Not much to go besides like these gallops that do kind of keep you in check with those transitions, and then the map closes out with a couple of these notes. So it's mainly just how well can you hold on to fast gallops and doublets, and then some tiny stream sections. But with this being OD6, you do have some opportunities to where the damage is minimal, but it still can be done.
Yeah, there's gonna be like 50s and 100s instead of misses. And then we get into step by step.
And I've noticed there's the lack of near 4-minute long charts. I mean, what? We had guitar versus piano in round of 16, flame fetish in round of 24. This is the closest you'll be getting to this kind of tradition we have.
Yeah, the wheel always chooses one. But yeah, this is probably going to be the hardest one. It kind of takes some mashup of Hybrid 1 and Hybrid 2 and kind of just puts them together. You get those 1/8 bursts, you have these varying 1/4 structures, either short streams, gallops, doublets, kind of mashed together. And because of the length, you basically have that kitchen sink thrown at you in perpetuity. Like, you can't dodge things that you're not good at in this particular chart.
Yeah, I mean, this going on for almost 4 minutes, it's definitely going to take a toll on your stamina. And seeing how 1K functions, misses and bad judgments take a toll on your accuracy. So you need to be really careful and play your cards right on this map. Some doublets are mentioned, and there are some very tricky streams like just mentioned there. And oh man, those doublets, those are 1/8.
Yeah, they just sneak up on you. Yeah, they are 1/8. They just get like snuck in there. You're autopiloting a 1/4 stream. Next thing you know, you got that quick doublet transitioning back into the 1/4, and it's like it's just prime locations for column rushes. And the only good thing about this song being as long as it is the fact that there's so much combo to be had in it. You're already cresting 1,000 after what, a minute 20 seconds or a minute 30 seconds of playing through this, close to 2 minutes. You have time for recovery if you do find a miss early. But that being said, if you are finding misses, there's probably a pretty healthy cushion you've spotted your opponent. So it's one of those risk-reward types of things. This, again, like I said, probably the hardest one to play through, but it could be the most rewarding if you feel like you can out-muscle your opponent.
Yeah, and as things progress further, it's more or less just these triplets that go into these nasty streams. So mainly just keeping you in check to see, like I mentioned a lot, if you can just hold those transitions very well, then you can have this under control. But as always, like, this map goes on for a while, so by the time you reach this final quarter, like, your fingers are probably going to be giving in pretty soon with having to deal with such fast, like, gallops, doublets, stream patterns, literally, like, everything being thrown at you. Like, Sparky mentioned it perfectly with the entire kitchen sink, pretty much.
Yeah, individual sections on their own in this song. Like, if you broke this song up into quarters, it's very manageable. It's just putting it together into a consistent 4-minute run that is going to be the real test of ensuring that you have the consistency to be able to navigate through those transitional sections. And I mean, if you can get through this with good ratio, I expect at least one person, not a team, but one person to be able to smack a 990k on it, because people are just that good at this point. But with that being said, that will do it for the hybrids. We can go into the speed pick for the round, something probably a little bit more bearable than Light Lies.
Yeah, and I can confidently say there are 0 long notes in this map, but this is 270 BPM.
Yeah, those bursts
speed for a reason.
Yeah, those bursts cap out at about 540. Some 400-ish BPM bursts because we do have 1/6 in there. They're not all just raw 1/8 bursts. It has a little bit more finesse to it because of the nature of the song. It has these moments where it's not just raw 1/8 dumps being thrown at you. You have these doubles to navigate. You have these 1/6, quick 1/4 into 1/8 transitional moments. So you have to really be paying attention as to what's going on, because if you're just autopiloting your way through it, that OT 7.5 isn't really going to let you get away with just kind of futzing around with your hand positioning.
Yeah, that is a little bit of a break section before you transition into these fast gallops and streams that really just give it the good old definition of speed. And then we have this 270 BPM speed stream that goes on for a good 7 seconds or so. And then to cap it all off, you have some gallops that go on for a very fast period of time, and it just comes back like busy come, busy goes. Busy comes right back to smack you in the face. And then what better way to end up the map than with just a ton of doublets and gallops? And yeah. Oh man, it's one thing for one kitchen sink, but this is like 3.5 kitchen sinks being thrown at you.
Yes, but definitely a lot more manageable than last round's speed pick. And I think people kind of misconstrue it. Speed doesn't necessarily mean pure rice. It just means that it's fast. But with that being said, we can go into the SV pick for the pool. It is going to be Radiant.
Thankfully, this map is over a minute long.
Yes, you're not losing on a coin flip, basically.
And this is charted by the lovely Potterage, who I believe has charted most of these SVs that have been featured in Joke. I know we've had some other star guests as well, with Hydria being the one last round, and I believe for the elimination round that was Potterage.
Yeah, Potterage has kind of been the mainstay for Joke 2, Joke 3 SV charts. So stylistically, it's pretty manageable. Very much honoring the melody that's being played. And since this song is a lot more lively, it's a lot more telegraphed as to what you're meant to be doing. It's just following the visual gimmicks. It's a lot of 1/4 stream straightforward. Don't get caught out by some of the stutters, and just trust your hands to be able to stop when they need to. Probably won't need as much studying. This is definitely a lot more sight readable than Look at Her, but definitely more approachable compared to that one. Maybe we won't see as many SV bans or teams staying away from it compared to last round.
Yeah, and more or less, like, there are some teleports, like, some things that do correlate back to Look at Her, but Look at Her was, like, more or less way more uncomfortable to play, especially with those, like, tricky sections that or like those tricky timing sections.
Mm-hmm.
This is just more or less like take 3 good looks and then just freestyle your way through this whole thing.
Yeah.
And with it being less than 2 minutes, you don't have much to worry about. And that is all of the maps in regulation. The only thing that remains is that tiebreaker. And it's going to be the Joke 3 quarterfinals tiebreaker. So if neither team fails to make it to 5 points and 8 picks have been made, then you will be playing this map.
Yeah, not the longest tiebreaker by any stretch of the imagination. Only 4.5 minutes, but it does kind of put you through the ringer. There's a lot of very interesting pattern structures throughout. You get these elongated 1/8 bursts as well. That it's more of a mental test than it really is a physical test. Yes, some of these bursts are pretty hard to handle, but overall, again, similar to like Hybrid 3, where in sections it's manageable. Bringing this one together is going to be of the utmost importance. And it follows that traditional quote-unquote mania tiebreaker structure where you have these like LN sections, you have these rice sections, and then you have these hybrid sections in between where everything's going to get tested at some point.
Yeah, I'm unsure how the tiebreaker was for round of 16, but you said it pretty well with this being kind of like how a mania, like a 4-key tiebreaker is showcased, kind of with just the hybrids and like the hybrids showing in their own little section, Rice and then LN. Like we can see right here, like they have their own standout sections, like a little hybrid section here with some LNs as well, and then we saw those Rice streams earlier that go on for quite a bit. It's pretty much everything, testing your well-roundedness pretty much, which is obviously what a tiebreaker is meant for.
Yeah, for sure. Some might argue that this could play a little bit easier than Zinnober in last round. It's a bit of a toss-up between what you're more comfortable playing, but it definitely has its moments where you could just find yourself just tanking like a full percent or two on some of these sections, especially when it comes to those 1/8 bursts. There's some 1/6 as well where it kind of just sneakily transitions because that stream begins to slow down, spread out in terms of its spacing, and if you're not following along well enough, you can find yourself dropping 200s or even misses if you're not too careful. But there are sections to recover. There's plenty of combo to be had on a chart like this, so recovery again is going to be pretty manageable. I wouldn't be surprised if you get to certain sections like this one where it's a just pure break that players climb back up from like 94 back up to like 96% accuracy if they really had a rough go of that introduction. But once we get into this last third, all bets are off. It's all about maintaining the composure. Yeah.
I don't think there are any more break sections left to go after this section here. It's pretty much just hold on to, like, just hold on and play well is basically the name of the game for this final quarter. As we kick it back up with these gallops and some doublets as well, a little bit of streams mixed in, and then once it goes, it goes. And these tricky transitions going in and out of these doublets into some gallops, into some tricky long note sections, and here's the LN section like you mentioned, with them all having their own respective section. Like, it's just all over the place. And top it all up with the 1/6 stream as well. It's literally just everything jam-packed into a 4.5 minute long map.
Yeah, some of these streams really do need to be respected because of the fact that you're ending some of them on the wrong hand. That LN can definitely cause you to rush into the next section. You kind of anticipate where the endings are going to be. And like I said, it's debatable whether this is actually going to be harder than Zinnober to get a good score on. If teams do find themselves in this situation, I do wish you the best of luck, because in the heat of the moment, it can feel impossible. But that will do it for the quarterfinals map pool showcase. Again, as Sunny mentioned, it is still best of 9, and we now have a losers bracket to contend with. This is, I believe, the first weekend of losers, so you don't have to worry about a conditional match just yet. So still just one match for those down below, but do keep abreast of potential reschedules. Be sure to be communicative of anything that might come up, of course, as we get more into the middle portion of the year. A lot of folks do get very busy, so just be sure to let the host know if you have any issues. We'll be more than happy to resolve them. And as you can see, we have the bracket here. Sunny, do you see any standout matchups in this bracket?
I'm seeing, all right, the United States A versus the United Kingdom. This is gonna be a highly anticipated match. You have some of the United States' best 1K players, some even top Taiko players on that team, and then the United Kingdom having some of the best mania players for that country, and of course the Teasel on that team. And also, not to mention, USA A has Joke 2 champion Sidosis, and I believe Joke 3 podium finisher. I believe they got 3rd on Joke 3. So it's just a giant, it's going to be one like anticipated match.
Yeah.
And then down to that losers bracket, there's also Peru versus the Italian Plumbers. Some two scary teams, with Alamagno and Brunix being the dynamic duo for Peru, and then of course the Italian Plumbers having #1 4-key Italy player Very on that team, with most of Italy's top Taiko players as well. And then of course we have some close-ups in seedings with, I believe, 99% Canadian with Germany A, some very tight seedings there. Definitely gonna have to play their cards right. That's all I really have to see. Do you see any standout matches that are gonna be hyped up for next weekend's quarterfinals?
Oh, absolutely. But if I were to list them all out, I would just list all the matches at the end of the day. Definitely don't want to miss any of them.
Yeah, like those are just the matches that like I think are going to be like really good and really close. But like in reality, all of these matches are going to be really exciting. So do not miss out.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, map pool. I mean, you already have the map pool. They're free to download off of Jaye's profile. Schedules will be coming out eventually. I imagine they'll be working on those and won't be too long before they get posted. Stats as well will get posted officially in a little while. But outside of that, I think that takes care of everything. So with that being said, we hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your weekend and a even better week. Get your practice in, get those reschedules in if you need them. And until then, we'll catch you guys later.
Goodbye, everyone.